Welcome back to Finance and Liberty and Reluctant Preppers. We have a distinguished returning guest. G. Edward Griffin, who was actually our first guest when we started our channel, is back here with us again. He is the author of The Creature from Jeckyl Island, A Second Look at the Federal Reserve. He's also the founder of the Red Pill Expo, which we're going to talk about today. Mr. Griffin, thank you for joining us here on Finance and Liberty.
Well, thank you, Duncan, for inviting me back.
We wanted to talk with you because you've got another upcoming expo later this month. Actually, it's November 8th and 9th in Mesquite, Nevada, near Las Vegas. We want to get to that very quickly. It's the Red Pill Expo, and the name is intriguing. We had some real technical difficulties when we were starting to try to get this interview scheduled and working, because it turns out you've got some serious problems right there near where you live in California. People have been reading about the wildfires that have been going on, and power outages have been going on, and as I understand it, you are actually under threat of potential evacuation because the fires have gotten so close to where you live?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're in the alert area, and there's no immediate threat right now, but the winds are blowing 60 miles an hour, sometimes gusts up to 80 miles an hour, and it's throwing hot embers into the air, and they can travel very quickly and start a fire many blocks away. And so we've been through this a lot. We don't take it lightly. So they say we get ready, get set, and then go. That means get out of there. We're in the get set range right now, but we're confident that we won't have to split. But you never know. The last time this happened, which was a year ago, the houses were burning down 3 blocks away from us.
Yeah, so the last interview we had with you prior to the last Red Pill Expo, you were talking to it. We named the interview "Wildfires at My Doorstep," and here we were talking about a historical event that had happened not that long in the past, and now it's today. We had interference with your power. We had interference with our ability to even get a network connection that would support us being able to do an interview. Luckily, you had a plan B. You had a backup. You could use your cell phone as a hotspot, and we could muddle through, and finally you got your main power and you got your system back online. But just to remind everybody that this is something that no matter where we live or no matter what our walk of life, we can be subject to natural disasters or other man-made disasters, that sort of thing. And having a plan B, having alternate means can make the difference between how difficult the situation really becomes. So just wanted to let the audience know that you are overcoming some significant obstacles there to be able to even be brought to us and be able to talk to us this evening. So thank you for doing that.
Well, it's my pleasure. There's nothing more important right now to me than the success of this Red Pill Expo. And by success, I mean to let people know, as many people as possible, what's really going on in the world. The analogy just struck my mind as you were talking about the fires. That's a red pill. If a person takes the position that I don't want to know about these bad things, don't talk to me about them, how well would they do in the middle of a fire? If somebody wants to come and knock on their door and say, "Hey, the fire is only 2 blocks away," and they say, "Go away! I don't want to hear about it." This is stupid, and so that's kind of what the role we find ourselves in, being the harbinger of bad news. But as you said, you have to, if you want to know what's going on, so you can prepare for it, and hopefully not just prepare for it, but actually to prevent it and turn it around.
Can you talk to us about why it's named that and what the real mission is behind your expo?
Yeah, we have to start with that, don't we? Because I think most people are familiar with the phrase, take the red pill, take the red pill, man, and wake up, to reality, get out of your illusions. And maybe some people don't know where that comes from. It comes from a sci-fi movie that's now in its 20th year. It's 20 years old, called The Matrix. And it's kind of a cult movie, you might say. I didn't see it when it first came out. I looked at it for the first time about 5 years ago, and I thought, wow, this thing really is kind of a reflection on real life. It's kind of what we are experiencing today. And I think many of your viewers know the storyline. In the story of The Matrix, it's called, humans were entrapped by a machine, or a giant machine they called the Matrix, humans were strapped into vats. Their brains were wired up. They were asleep in a way. They didn't know where they were. Everything was in their minds. Everything was happening in their minds, and they were being programmed to experience things that were illusions. And they thought they were living normal lives. In their minds, they thought they got up in the morning, they went to work, they had dinner, they worked hard, they had dinner, they go on vacations, they pay their taxes, go to church, all these things. But actually, they were just in a vat all this time. And so a few of these humans managed to escape that condition, and they were determined to rescue the rest of mankind. And that is the basis of the story. How do you do that? And it turns out in the story that if you take the red pill, if you have an opportunity, somebody offers you the red pill, you swallow it, all of a sudden, all of the illusions clear away and you can see exactly what's going on. Not everybody liked the red pill. They kind of liked the illusions, because it was comfortable. Even though it wasn't real, they didn't know it wasn't real. It was comfortable. But in the real world, while you had responsibilities and you had challenges and things didn't always go exactly right. So some people preferred the blue pill, thank you very much, but most were trying to get into reality. So anyway, the point is that I thought it was a great meme for us to talk about so many things that concern us. Because I've discovered, as I'm sure you have too, and most of your viewers, that it seems like almost everything of real importance in our lives is based on an illusion. We're born into this world and we hear what our parents tell us and our teachers tell us and the media tells us certain things, and we think, well, this is the way it really is. And when you get a little older, you begin to question, and that's kind of a rebellious period. You question, is this true? When you get really old, like I am, you begin to realize that, oh my gosh, none of it was true. And I'm not exaggerating, because it seems like the most important things of our lives are based on real illusions. For example, I'm perhaps best known for my book called The Creature from Jeckyl Island, which is a second look at the Federal Reserve System. Well, now there's a red pill, if you ever saw one, because most people, including myself, before I got into that project of researching it, I believed that the Federal Reserve was a government agency, that it was there to protect us, it was there to help the economy, to stabilize the currency and the purchasing power, make sure that the economy was expanding so we could have jobs, and it was there to help us. Well, lo and behold, I found out as I got into the research that that's not the case at all. First of all, the Federal Reserve System is not a government agency. Many people find that hard to believe, but it's not. It's a private organization. Now, it's true, it acts like government in some regards. It's been given governmental power by Congress. They've passed legislation that has, for example, the Congress has literally passed on its privilege, you might say, its right to issue the nation's money. Who can issue the money of a nation? Well, the nation, right? The government, you say, the people. But that's not the case. When the congressmen passed that Federal Reserve Act back in 1913, what they did is they turned over their right to create the nation's money to this cartel. This is a cartel of private banks. And so all of a sudden, the private banks, who call themselves the Federal Reserve System, they're nothing but a union of banks. That's all it is. It's nothing to do with the government. They got the right to create the nation's money supply and to regulate the credit of the nation and interest rates and all of that, which is normally a privilege of a sovereign government. And so it's hard to believe that this actually happened, which I had trouble with coming to grips with that when I started. I said, this can't be true, but it is true. So I found out that is a great red pill. And the reason the economy is going sour today, and the reason most people are having trouble maintaining their purchasing power, the inflation is eating away everything they save. The reason things are going bad in the economy is because the banks are literally and legally plundering the nation. And that's the red pill. Well, I found that out on quite a few years ago on this topic of the Federal Reserve System, but now we look everywhere. My next book that I got into was about healthcare. Well, actually, I wrote that book before I wrote the one on the Federal Reserve System. But the one that really has become secondary in popularity is the one called World Without Cancer. And it's another red pill. We think that our healthcare system, our medical system, is there to cure diseases and make us well and healthy. And that is not true. We find out from whistleblowers that have come out of the industry themselves that they can't take. I remember watching a video of a very attractive young lady who was one of these drug specialists, a detailed person that goes around and visits the doctors in their office and introduces them to the latest drugs that their company has created, gives them the product sheet, explains how it works and what it does and how they should use it and how wonderful it is. And the doctors say, well, thank you very much. And they get free samples and they prescribe them, and they don't question it because it's a big, reputable company, right? So, and then they prescribe these drugs and so forth. And this lady said she had to quit her job because she found out, after being with the company for many years and being a top performer, by the way, a top salesperson, she said, it finally dawned on me that we weren't making products to cure diseases. Because if we cured a disease, we lost the customer. The business model in the pharmaceutical industry, for which I worked, she said, was to not cure a disease, but to maintain the disease, to maintain people so they can still go to work with the disease, but they have to be taking our drugs every day for the rest of their lives, or otherwise they get even more sick than they are now. She said, when I found out that the whole purpose of the pharmaceutical industry, the company for which I worked, was to make sure that diseases were not cured, she said, I got sick to my stomach. I couldn't realize what I was involved in, and she quit. Well, she took the red pill. And, we have red pills like that. But looking at vaccines today, people think that vaccines are supposed to prevent kids from having diseases and getting sick. No, it's a business model to make money for the vaccine industry. And we go from one topic to the next, wars around the world, healthcare, the educational system, the environment, everywhere you look, the most important things in our lives, if you look carefully, you'll find that they're based on huge, ugly illusions, and we're not benefited by it at all. So when you put all of this together, how do you deal with it? It's almost too much to deal with. People don't want to hear about these things because it's very disturbing. They think they can't do anything about it, so why know about it? Well, we can come to that later. That's not true, by the way. There are plenty of things you can do about it, and it's very important that you know about it if you want to protect yourself and your family. And so they don't want to hear about it because it's bad news. But some of us, a lot of us, I should say, have this little crusader gene inside of ourselves that it just won't let us go away. It won't let us say, I don't want to know. It won't let us say, I don't care. It won't let us say that there's nothing we can do. And we may be, we may be tilting windmills like Don Quixote, but nevertheless, we're driven to try and set these wrongs right. And so this event that we're putting on, which is our Red Pill Expo, is a place where truth seekers who have this crusader gene in them really want to know the truth, even though in many cases it's not good news, but they want to know. They have to know, and they want to do something about it. It's a place for people like that to come together, to learn from each other, to see all the red pills that others have taken, and to evaluate them, too, because, just because somebody says this is so or that is so, doesn't necessarily mean that they're right. So we don't ask anybody to take our word for it. In fact, we go there to learn ourselves. Our speakers, most of our speakers are talking about topics that we're learning about. We want to find out, and we want to know what they say and what they think. We may walk away from there and say, I don't think that guy is right on this one. This is not a place where we tell you what to think or what is right or wrong. This is a place where we bring together those who we feel that have integrity and have experience and qualifications. We're talking about scientists and doctors and former politicians and teachers. These are people who have been very high in their craft or in their social positions, and they're not just people making things up. And so we want to hear what they have to say. That, in a nutshell, is what the Red Pill Expo is all about.
And in many ways, it's unique. And could you just give us a glimpse behind the curtain into what people can expect at this particular Red Pill Expo that's coming up November 8th and 9th in Mesquite, Nevada, right near Las Vegas?
Sure, I'd be glad to do that one. It's a 2-day event, first of all, so we've got a lot of ground to cover, and we have speakers on many, many different topics. As I say, it's not just one or two things, but I'll give you an example. I'm looking on my screen now of the photographs of our speakers. Well,
let me go there. I'm going to go there at the same time so our viewers can see what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to start recording the screen. Okay, tell me where to go.
Well, let's see. You go to the front page of redpillexpo.org.
Got it.
And then you scroll down, and there's some video images there, but scroll past them until you get to the expo speakers.
There we are.
There you are. You can ignore that guy in the upper left-hand corner.
Wow, that handsome guy. Okay, go ahead.
Well, yeah, this time I'll be talking about when crooks become cops. Now, I started that talk, I gave it a couple of times before some health conferences last year, and it was a little different because in that environment, my title was When Crooks Become Health Cops. And I was talking about what happens to organizations like the FDA, that is supposed to protect us from quackery and tell us what are good and what are bad things to take.
Okay, so when the enforcers, we have the fox in the hen house. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So when these people who we trust to tell us what is good and what is bad, we find out that they all came from the pharmaceutical industry. And they're still working for the pharmaceutical industry. And we find out that the whole FDA is nothing but a marketing arm for the drug companies. How did this happen? How does this happen? Not just in the health field. I'll be talking about other fields as well, but the origin of my presentation was from that sector.
Sure.
So it's quite an intriguing concept, and there's a reason for it. And so I'll be talking about that. Now, this fellow to the right of me on the page there, this guy you have got to hear, Michael Rectenwald. He's an author. His first book, I believe, was called something about snowflakes, Springtime for Snowflakes, okay? The title of he's giving 2 presentations. The title of his first one is Why I Am No Longer a Communist Professor. Now, think about that. Now, was he a communist professor? You better believe he was. Just 3 years ago, actually, 3.5 years ago, I think it is. He describes himself, he said, back then, he said, I was to the left of Lenin. I mean, he was a real flaming red communist professor, the kind that we have tens of thousands of people like this still in the universities, and some of them even in the high schools. They may not be professors, but they're teachers, and they're communists. And how did that happen? And what motivated them? And what red pill did he take that he realized that, oh my gosh, I've been on the wrong side of this all along? He'll be talking about that. And I think you'll be amazed at what he has to say and this conversion that he went through. In a second presentation, he'll be talking about transhumanism. And that, too, is a very interesting red pill to take. What we're told that transhumanism is being developed because they want to cure diseases and make the human being superior so he doesn't have to get sick and die and live longer. But you'll find out from Professor Rectenwald that is the cover story, that there's a much more sinister aspect to it than that. Dr. Alan Keyes is next to him. I think most people over the age of 20 at least remember Dr. Keyes. He's a very highly educated black fellow. He has a doctoral graduate from Harvard. He ran against Obama in 2004, that Senate race, and he just laid it out on Obama. And the title of his talk at our upcoming event is The Political Illusion of Racism. Dr. Keyes is a very inspiring person to talk to and listen to. Now, Dr. Richard Ruling, who's the next picture on there to the right of Dr. Keyes, he's a very interesting fellow. He's a medical doctor. He's retired now, but he has a great credential. He's had a fellowship in cardiology. He taught health science at Loma Linda University. He's been a practicing physician for many years. And his talk is one of those red pills. Prescription drugs, he says, are today's number one cause of death. In other words, more people die from prescription drugs every year than from wars. Think about that. If that isn't a red pill, I don't know what it really is. And he'll tell you why that is. I mentioned it a moment ago. It's because the whole purpose of prescription drugs is not to cure diseases, but to perpetuate them. Sheriff Mack is the next fellow down there. He's sometimes called the constitutional sheriff. He was one of the few sheriffs back in the day that stood up for the Second Amendment, and he's one of the few people that have ever won a case against the federal government on gun control and that sort of thing. He says, no, the people need the guns to defend themselves. You can't take away the right to bear arms. But he's in our program this time because he's an expert on drug abuse. He did that before he became sheriff. And he knows how drugs are often encouraged by politicians and governments, not because they're druggies or anything, but they know that if there's a crisis, that means that people turn to the government and they'll buy into any proposal to expand the role of government or to raise taxes in order to solve the dreaded problem. And so he'll be talking partly about the fact that it's in the best interest of politicians and governments to have problems, kind of like the pharmaceutical industry. If you solve all the problems, well, who needs government? And so people that go into government know that the best way to get more money in the form of taxes and to hire more people and expand their bureaucracy is to have the problem get worse.
For people who need to be needed, they never want to get a good crisis go to waste, and even if you have to create the crisis or augment it.
That's right. I mean, that's when politicians are at their glory, is when they come out, there's been a terrible catastrophe, and they come out for the photo op. I'm here in the front row. I have to go see how bad this is, and I'm here to tell you how much we're going to do to help you people, you see. And all of a sudden they seem so noble and needed. And if there are no crises going on, well, who needs these people? And so he'll be talking about that. The next person in line is Ammon Bundy. Well, I think most people remember the Bundy standoff over grazing rights on federal land took place in Nevada, in 2014. He is the son of Cliven Bundy, who was the rancher that took that stand against the federal agents. It's quite a dramatic event, and he'll be talking about that event, but he'll be talking mostly about the bigger picture, and his topic is how the West has been won, or has the fight just begun? And of course, you can gather from that he says that the fight has just begun because the federal government is hell-bent on leather to take away the last of the land rights from the ranchers, not just the ranchers, but from all people. But they're starting with the ranchers. And he'll explain why he thinks that's going on. I don't know how much time you want me to spend on these things, but I've got to at least go two more down the list here. Alex Newman is a good friend of ours. He's an author, a journalist, one of the smartest young fellows you'll ever run into. He's an expert on a lot of different topics, but especially indoctrination masquerading as education.
Yep. We had Mr. Newman on our channel just about a week ago, and those of you who have missed it, go back and search our channel for Alex Newman. You'll find that interview. It's delightful.
Yeah, Alex is the perfect person to talk on that topic. He's written some books on it. He knows all the people. He knows the history of it, and it'll be quite interesting for everyone. And the title of his talk is Behind the Education Mask. Now, here is Anne Blake Tracy. This is one that I don't know what more I can say except you've got to listen to this woman's story. Anne Blake Tracy is a scientist. She's an expert on homicidal and suicidal effects of SSRI drugs. Now, SSRI drugs are the antidepressants. It's a category of drugs. They have different brand names, but they're all basically the same chemistry underneath. And her topic is antidepressant drugs, the hidden cause of mass shootings and suicides. And if this doesn't blow your mind, I can't imagine what will, because we've all been thinking about what's going on with these mass shootings. Is it really because of these kids getting hold of guns? Is it the guns that are a problem? And she said, no, 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 no. We never had shootings like this before. And in previous eras, all the kids had guns. One of the first things the kid had to learn 100 years ago was how to use a gun. Everybody carried a gun, maybe not to school, but I remember reading when I was in school about some well-known students up in Alaska. They carried guns to school because they never knew if they were going to be attacked by a bear or something on the way. Nobody had troubles with shooting because everybody had a gun. No problem. And the worst thing you would want to, let me put it this way, the safest place to be in the world is in a gun show. There's going to be no crime committed in a gun show. Everybody's got a gun and they can load it. So that, the idea that guns cause crime is absurd. Guns sure can be used by criminals, but they can also be used by normal people to prevent crime. And so anyway, Ann Blake Tracy is talking about the fact that these antidepressant drugs are well known and have always been well known to create urges, impulses for homicide and suicide. And in spite of that, the psychiatrists just prescribe these drugs willy-nilly. The teachers in all the school systems, if the kid has a little normal problem, say, oh, well, he's bipolar, and they give him an antidepressant drug. And it's no wonder that these kids are going out of their gourds. They lose consciousness. They go into a dream state. They fantasize about things, and they grab a gun if they can find one. And if they don't have a gun, they'll use a baseball bat or a knife. It doesn't make any difference. And she'll explain that these drugs are the things that need to be controlled, not the guns. Okay, Jerry Day, going down to him, he's a filmmaker, he's a commentator, he's an expert on smart meters, by the way, and, of course, 5G EMF radiation. Now, he'll talk a little bit about the dangers of 5G. I think most people by now are beginning to wake up to the fact that 5G radiation is not healthy, and that's the great understatement of the millennium. It's deadly, as a matter of fact. He'll talk a little bit about that. But his real topic is that if you can't escape 5G, which it looks like we're not going to be able to because it's coming. These utility companies have invested trillions of dollars in this technology. The contracts are out. The equipment is made. And they're putting it up by the day as fast as they can because they know that soon, when people discover how terribly unhealthy and hazardous these things are, that they're going to want to tear them down. And so they said, let's get them up. It'll be too big. They'll never get them all down. They want to get ahead of the game before people really understand how dangerous they are. But anyway, Jerry says, look, if you can't escape it, and it looks like that might happen soon, then you must know how to protect yourself against it. And I think this is a very sensible issue, and people need to hear what Jerry has to say, because he says there are ways that you can minimize and prevent massive harm to your health and to your family. Oh, well, I could go on. How about just asking people to come to the website and look at all of these speakers and splash around and see what else we've got to offer. And so I'll just close by saying that the event is Red Pill Expo, and the website is redpillexpo.org. And that the event is November 8th and 9th. It's coming up very, very soon in Mesquite, Nevada. And that's a little north of Las Vegas. You may wonder why not in Las Vegas. It's because most of us don't like Las Vegas very much. And it seems like it's a travesty if we're going to have a conference on snap out of the illusion and face reality. Why would you want to go to the center of illusion like to have an event? And besides, there's so much chemical pollution there and electromagnetic pollution. Everybody's got a cell phone walking around, all these towers transmitting, and we're warning people against that. Why would we hold an event right in the middle of that? And, of course, there's cultural pollution there, too, as well. So we're having it in Mesquite, Nevada. So and that's about it. Oh, I should do one more thing. I realize that not everybody can go to Mesquite, Nevada. So that's why we're going to be live streaming it also at a very, very reasonable price. Everybody can afford it. In fact, I'll tell you, it's $25. You can watch the whole 2-day event on your computer at home. You can watch it as it happens and for a whole month afterwards for $25. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay, and we'll include a link in the description of this video, folks, to where you can support our channel as well by following that link and get you in the Red Pill Expo, get you registered. We were delighted, my wife and I, to attend the last one in person, to actually meet with and speak with, shake hands with and talk with the speakers who are very, as you mentioned, they're a breed apart where they really are putting themselves out for the mission and the purpose of reaching out to people, and they really are very approachable, and they're quite interested in sharing information and meeting people who have the concerns in these areas that they're speaking in. It's a real eye-opener, and thank you for letting us know more about the Red Pill Expo, folks. Don't miss out on this chance. If you missed out last time, don't let that happen again. Follow the link in the description and get registered either for the live event or the live streaming, either way. And Mr. Griffin, thank you for joining us again here on Finance and Liberty.
Danica, thank you for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and everybody there in Mesquite, Nevada.
Bonus footage from other guests we've had on. Come on over right now to patreon.com/reluctantpreppers and access that bonus footage there. Take care.
It seems so hard to order. Who can I trust, and how do I even start?
Oh, you just go to sdbullion.com/rp, pick out whatever gold or silver you want, add it to your cart, you can check out, and it's on its way. And they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau.
Wow, it's that easy?
Your first ounce of silver is at spot price, and you get free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/rp.
After I order gold or silver, how can I trust I'm going to get it? And I don't want everybody to know that I'm ordering gold and silver.
Oh, it's okay. It's fully insured, it's trackable, and you have to sign for it, so nobody else is going to get it but you, and it comes discreetly packaged. If you order a small amount, like maybe gold, it'll probably come in a box that looks something like this. Okay. And if you order a large amount, maybe like silver, it'll come in a box that looks something like this.
Wow.
But it doesn't say gold or silver on there. It might say something industrial or something else like that, but nobody's going to know what you ordered.
Oh, that's great to know.
Your first ounce of silver is at spot price, and you get free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/rp.
If I own gold or silver, how will I ever be able to spend it?
Oh, sure. Well, consider good times or bad times. Like in good times, you can sell it back to the same place you bought it from. sdbullion.com/rp will buy it back at the best price guaranteed on the internet. You can take it to a local coin shop and get cash in your hand, completely anonymous. Some people you know may be willing to take gold or silver coins in exchange for goods or services. Now, in bad times, when things have really fallen apart, time after time in history, people have found that in hard times, gold and silver really does come through as something that people recognize as value even after everything else has failed. Your first ounce of silver is at spot price, and you get free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/rp.
What if gold or silver drop in price after I order it?
Well, everything fluctuates with time, but nothing is held up longer and better than gold and silver throughout all the changes that have happened in history. Your first ounce of silver is at spot price, and you get free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/rp.
What good does gold do me anyway? I can't use it for anything.
Well, I think I found a form you might appreciate.
Wow. That's beautiful. Wow, I can wear that just about anywhere.
And you can take it with you through airport security and across borders. It's small and compact and lightweight, and you can even hand it down through generations. Your first ounce of silver is at spot price, and you get free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/RP. Reluctant Preppers provides educational awareness and commentary only. Opinions expressed do not constitute personalized financial advice. Viewers are encouraged to do their own research and seek qualified personal financial consultation before making investment decisions.